What markets do you trade in? Forex or shares or both?
I used to trade shares years ago when I used to trade options on stocks in America, but then I started to move across to stock market indices and commodities in the 2000s, probably from sort of 2002, 3 onwards. I was still trading shares right up till 2006, and in 2006 it was a really low volatility year in the stock markets, and I was basically getting really bored trying to trade equities, US equities in that year. When you're day trading them anyway. So I started to trade the S&P 500 and the Dow more and gold more, and so I moved across to trading those indexes. And then I mean, I was always trading a bit of FX as well, but what I found I got to 2010, I had to move a brokerage account, and so when I moved the brokerage account across to a new brokerage account, I found that new broker was really red hot on FX, but they weren't quite so good on trading stock market indices. I was trading futures, and I was suffering a little bit of slippage on my trades, on my fields, so it's getting technical. But so I realized that actually, why am I bothering trading futures here when I'm getting slippage on my fields and all the commissions and everything else you have to pay? I can trade FX, and it's such a liquid market, instant fills, very, very tight spreads, low costs of actually doing business. So I really went into FX more. So from 2010, so about the last 6 years, I'd say that FX is now probably 80 to 90% of my trading. Equities I just moved away from back in 2006, nothing wrong with them. The one thing with equities, if you're swing trading though, is the potential for gaps. So if you're swing trading equities, there's always the possibility that whole sector might actually, one stock in a sector might have a bad earnings announcement come out, and then the whole sector moves down overnight. You're in actually a good stock, but the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater sort of thing, and so your stock gets affected as well. So there are ways around that. You can use things like guaranteed stops these days, but I'm just out of the habit of trading equities with all the gaps and things that can happen, so I'm quite happy trading a more liquid market.
If you deal exclusively in Forex, which pairs do you prefer trading in and why?
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis, I usually day trade most days, not all days, but most days I day trade. Then I like to trade the most liquid currency pairs. So that's like cable, the euro dollar, Aussie dollar, dollar yen, dollar CAD. Those are my top 5 currencies that I trade. I don't trade the Swissie, so I was quite lucky when the SMB crisis happened last year that I just don't trade it, and so when the peg situation happened, there was no effect on me. Those 5 major pairs I trade every day, or one of them. But on a swing basis, then I'll look at major cross pairs as well. So I might trade something like euro yen or pound yen, or always the major currency pairs. I don't look at exotics.
What mediums do you use to trade?
I mostly trade using an FX account. I do have a spread betting account as well, because lots of people like to trade spread bet for the tax purposes. And so futures, spread betting, and FX.
What's your typical time frame on trades?
Well, that would depend really. If I'm day trading, then I could be in a trade for less than 30 minutes, potentially. Sometimes you get into a day trade here, and if it just runs for you, you could all be over within 30 minutes. But I don't just day trade, I swing trade as well. So I could be putting a trade in, and which I'm looking to last for maybe a couple of days or so. And I could also be getting into a trade which I could be looking to hold for several weeks. So it really depends. But the lowest time frame that I'd actually go down to would be maybe a 5-minute chart. But even if I'm looking at a 5-minute chart, I'll always be basing that on the higher time frames, like the hourly or 4-hourly chart. So I'm always looking for time frames to line up. So if I'm wanting to go long on the 5-minute chart, I don't want that to be against the trend on the hourly chart.